Even after more than 3 decades since his tragic passing, the name Ayrton Senna continues to echo in the hearts of millions of people around the world. He was not just a driver, but a symbol of determination, faith, and overcoming challenges. His image transcended the racetracks, becoming a reference for discipline and inspiration. Children who weren't even born at the time still get emotional watching his achievements. But what makes Senna eternal? What are the reasons that explain why he is still remembered as a true legend of sports? Get ready, because these 7 reasons will move you. Ayrton Senna didn't just drive a Formula One car. He dominated it as if it were an extension of his own body. Since he was a child in karting, he showed unusual reflexes and instincts. His sensitivity at the wheel was almost supernatural, capable of feeling every detail of the track and the car. When everyone else suffered with instability, he found speed. Senna's pure talent was transformed into historic victories, and even today experts consider him one of the greatest geniuses to ever sit in a cockpit. The most impressive thing was the naturalness with which he did it. While other drivers relied on long practices and adjustments to extract maximum performance, Senna seemed to be born ready for every race. His intuition and race reading were so sharp that, in a matter of laps, he already knew where to attack, where to defend, and how to surprise. It wasn't just skill, it was a true gift. This talent became even more remarkable when compared to his opponents. Many drivers of his era were excellent, but none had that combination of courage, technique, and coolness under pressure. Senna showed that, even in high-risk sports, genius could shine. It was like watching art in motion, and that's why the world has never forgotten what he did on the track. In adverse conditions, Ayrton Senna became unbeatable. While other drivers struggled to keep the car on the track, he seemed to dance in the rain. Donington Park, 1993, Estoril, 1985, and Monaco, 1984, are undeniable proofs of his mastery. What was a nightmare for many was an opportunity for Senna to shine even more. His ability in extreme conditions created a mythical aura. When the drops began to fall, everyone knew that Senna would put on a show. It wasn't just technique, but also courage. The rain leveled the cars, and what mattered was the boldness of the driver. Senna didn't hesitate to accelerate where others backed off. His confidence bordered on the impossible, as if he could see beyond the wet track. This characteristic made him win not only races, but also the admiration of those who understood that it wasn't just motorsport, it was magic. And maybe that's why he was nicknamed the King of Rain. The public, the commentators, and even his rivals recognized that in the wet, no one could compete with Ayrton. To this day, drivers facing wet races are compared to him. His performance became a benchmark, and few have come close to matching the spectacle that Senna offered when the sky opened up in a storm. Senna didn't just see himself as a driver. He believed he was an instrument of something greater. His faith in God was so strong that it was reflected in every race. He prayed, gave thanks, and dedicated his victories to the Creator. This spiritual side moved millions of people who saw in him not just the coldness of an athlete, but the purity of a man who recognized his human limits. This connection with faith led Senna to be remembered not only as a champion, but as someone who inspired faith and hope. Many accounts show how he would isolate himself before races, close his eyes, and talk to himself and with God. It was as if each start was also an act of spiritual surrender. This made Senna even more human and accessible to those who followed him, as it showed that behind the helmet was someone who also had fears and doubts, but who found strength in his faith. This sincere spirituality created a connection with the public that went beyond the sport. People who had never been interested in Formula One were moved by his words about God, about believing in something greater, about never giving up. His faith was transformed into a legacy and continues to inspire not only athletes, but anyone looking for strength to face life. Brazil was going through difficult times in the 80s and 90s, and on every race Sunday, Senna became the breath of joy for millions of Brazilians. While the economy was struggling and the people were suffering, there he was raising the national flag after each victory. His image with the flag waving in the cockpit became one of the greatest symbols of national pride. He didn't just represent a sport, he represented the strength of an entire nation. It was as if each victory were a response to the suffering of a people. Millions of Brazilians woke up early, enduring difficult broadcast times just to see Senna race. When he won, it was as if everyone won together, and when he raised the flag, an entire country felt valued and recognized on the world stage. This relationship with Brazil was transformed into an eternal bond. Even after his death, his image remains linked to national pride. Senna was more than a driver. He was the hero, who reminded all Brazilians that despite the difficulties, it was still possible to win. Senna didn't achieve his glory alone. He faced some of the greatest drivers in history: Alain Prost, Nigel Mansell, Nelson Piquet, and Michael Schumacher. Their battles went beyond speed. They were duels of strategy, personality, and character. Every overtake, every wheel-to-wheel contact carried a tension that held millions of fans in front of their TVs. It was impossible to watch and not feel your heart race along. The most notable rivalry was, without a doubt, with Alain Prost. Two different styles, two opposite mentalities, but both brilliant. Prost was meticulous and calculating, while Senna was visceral and daring. The clash between these two forces generated moments that are still discussed in documentaries and roundtables today. Who was right? Who was exaggerating? The fact is that this dispute transformed Formula One into a spectacle of unprecedented intensity. And even against Schumacher, in the early career of the German, there was already a perceptible tension. It was as if two universes were colliding, the established champion against the new generation. Unfortunately, fate did not allow this rivalry to unfold for many years, but every battle fought by Senna on the track reinforced the image of a modern gladiator willing to fight until the last second. Ayrton Senna was not content with just being good. He wanted to be the best at everything. He was detail-oriented, demanding, and tireless. He spent hours talking to engineers, adjusting the car, and asking for changes that other drivers wouldn't even notice. For him, every detail mattered. Every thousandth of a second could mean the difference between victory and defeat. This relentless pursuit of perfection became his trademark. Many engineers and mechanics who worked with Senna reported how he was able to identify imperceptible flaws. If something was not in tune, he felt it immediately in the steering wheel. This sensitivity and obsession placed him on a different level. He didn't just drive the car, he was a part of it. It was as if man and machine merged into a single entity. This mentality transcended motorsport. Senna inspired athletes from other sports and even entrepreneurs who saw in him an example of maximum dedication. His message was clear. It is only possible to achieve excellence when you seek perfection every day. And this perfectionism became one of the pillars of his legend, perpetuating his image as a man tireless in his pursuit of victory. Few people knew, but Ayrton Senna was also driven by a generous heart. Before he passed away, he was already silently helping charities, hospitals, and social projects. After his death, the Ayrton Senna Institute revealed to the world the extent of his generosity, transforming his inheritance into one of the largest educational initiatives in Brazil. His legacy off the tracks proves that his greatness was not only in sports, but also in humanity. He believed he had a mission to give back to the Brazilian people the affection he received. And he did this not with speeches, but with actions. He often helped anonymously, without seeking recognition. This human side, which only became public after his death, moved fans even more, who began to see him as a hero not only of the sport, but also of real life. Today, millions of children have had their lives transformed through education thanks to the Ayrton Senna Institute. This social legacy is as important as his world titles. After all, few athletes have managed to turn victories into concrete projects that change lives. This is another proof of why Senna remains alive in people's hearts. May 1st, 1994, will forever be etched in the memory of humanity. The tragedy in Imola not only took the life of a driver, it stopped the whole world. On that day, millions of people, even those who had never watched a Formula One race, felt the pain of the loss. Brazil cried, as if it had lost a family member. The entire planet fell silent in the face of that news. The shock was so great that it turned into something historic. State funerals, tributes in several countries, crowds following the procession. Senna's farewell showed that he was not just a sports idol, but a universal figure. It was as if everyone had lost someone close, someone who represented courage, hope, and faith. His death did not extinguish his light. On the contrary, it made Ayrton Senna eternal. The tragedy immortalized him. He ceased to be just a pilot to become a myth. Imola was not the end, but the beginning of a legend that will never be forgotten. Decades have passed, but the name Ayrton Senna remains present in songs, films, documentaries, and tributes. His face graces murals. His deeds are narrated in different languages, and his story is taught as an example of overcoming. Senna was not just a motorsport icon. He was a symbol of courage and determination that crossed generations. Young drivers are still inspired by his journey. Athletes from different sports study his discipline and his winning mentality. Ordinary. People find motivation in his words not to give up in the face of difficulties. This is the true power of a legacy, to cross time and remain alive, even when the man is gone. Senna no longer races on the tracks, but he races within every heart that believes in dreams. He continues to accelerate, not on high-speed curves, but on the roads of human inspiration. And that's why, even after so long, Ayrton Senna is still remembered as a legend that never dies. Ayrton Senna was not just a driver. He was a phenomenon, a hero, and an example of life. His legacy goes far beyond victories. It is in the faith he inspired, in the pride he gave his people, and in the hope he continues to transmit to this day. His story proves that true greatness is not just in titles, but in the impact we leave on the world. And Senna left an impact that will never be erased. He was, and always will be, eternal. If you were also moved by this memory and believe that Senna's legacy should remain alive, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and share this video with those who also carry the pride of saying, Senna eternal always in our hearts. Ayrton. Senna is gone, but what he left us goes far beyond victories and records. He taught us that greatness isn't measured just in titles, but in the courage to fight for what you believe in unwavering faith in yourself, and in the power to inspire millions. Senna showed us that even in the biggest storms, it's possible to dance in the rain and turn fear into a spectacle. His story is a beacon of hope, a reminder that perfection is in the pursuit. Victory is in resilience, and immortality is in the ability to touch hearts. He wasn't just a driver, but a hero who, with the Brazilian flag in his hands, united us and made us believe we can overcome any challenge. His legacy lives in our hands now. The flame of that legacy rests with you. If this story moved you, if Ayrton Senna still inspires you, don't let that flame die out. Leave a like to show that the passion for this legend is still alive. Subscribe to the channel so more people can discover the truth behind the myth. And share this video with your friends and family. Let's work together to keep the memory of Ayrton Senna alive, the driver who raced not just for victories, but for the soul of Brazil. The Senna who became eternal.